6 Chapter 4. Settle accounts. That's right. The opportunity to make a fortune he thought about before was related to the stalls here, because it was something he had personally experienced, so he remembered it very clearly. It was in the first half of this year that the news of relocation began to spread wildly in the market, and it reached its peak in September and October. Many small bosses lowered prices and listed their stalls for sale. At most, there were more than 300 stalls, accounting for almost the entire quarter of the same stalls in the market. The price has also dropped from 200,000 yuan to 120,000 yuan. A drop of nearly 40%. You must know that this is only a small stall, and the price cuts at large stalls are not much different, but the quantity is not that much, that's all. As a result, the more people like this, the less people will buy it, because they are all afraid. If they buy it, if they really have to move, wouldn't it just be thrown in their hands? Until the end of the year, that is, in November, the market suddenly issued a notice, clearly informing the majority of merchants that the fruit and vegetable wholesale market would not be relocated. And then the prices of the stalls recovered instantly on the same day, and even rose by 20%. The starting price is 300,000 yuan, and the momentum is even more exaggerated than stocks. More than 10 years later, there is no 2 million yuan for a small stall here, even if you don't even think about it. It is not uncommon for the highest transaction price to be more than 3 million yuan. If I can seize this opportunity, the first pot of gold is basically stable. Just when Chen Yang was recalling, my aunt suddenly asked him, Yang, you are a college student, tell me, can you buy it at this stall? Following these words, everyone at the table looked at Chen Yang. Chen Yang raised his head and smiled without hesitation. Of course I can buy it, I can definitely buy it. Although he already knew the result, he still wanted to try his best to persuade his aunt and uncle to accept that stall. In the previous life, my aunt also asked his opinion. He also said that he could buy it at the time, and spent a lot of nonsense, but because of his lack of experience, he never poked on the idea. In the end, my aunt and uncle still didn't buy it. Get off that stall. As for the family of the aunt and the third aunt, forget it, they are the same as my own family. No, it should be said that it is far worse than my own family, and I can't get the money at all. And I can't borrow it. Speaking of which, there is a reason why Chen Yang didn't like these relatives before. Being born in the countryside is not a problem. There are many promising people among the farmers, but they are lazy and have a bad temper. It is really hard for people to like them. Uncle he is this kind of person, otherwise he would still be poor after working here for several years, while uncle he is characterized by being stingy. Why? The little uncle seemed a little displeased, and said directly, you are the leader, so you have decided not to move. Being stabbed, Chen Yang didn't care. He knew that his little uncle had this kind of character. Maybe it was because when he was a child, his family was afraid of poverty. So he put money more important than anything else, but if he made tens or hundreds of dollars, they had to deposit it in the bank, and when they left Guangzhou a few years later, they saved millions of dollars. Except for their mother who left Guangzhou a few years earlier and helped them keep their passbooks, there was almost no one else. No. It is precisely because of his stingy characteristic that after his father fell ill, he asked his aunt to send 100,000 yuan to the door. Chen Yang was very grateful to this little uncle who was disliked by almost all relatives. Slap him, and Chen Yang can also send another face. It's just that Chen Yang wasn't angry, but my aunt was, and slapped her husband on the back. Don't talk if you can't talk. It's all right. Chen Yang quickly raised his wine glass, bumped one with the embarrassed little uncle, and said with a smile, come on, drink. Taking a sip of his wine, Chen Yang continued, I think it's possible to buy it after analysis. First of all, there are rumors in the market that they will be relocated, and there are people who say they want to move to Jinshaozhou. However, I want to ask, where is Jinshaozhou approved? Has it started? Has it started? No. Chen Yang glanced at the people on the table, and they were all listening to him carefully. Such a large market, does it mean that you can move it? To build a new market, you must first establish a project, then select a site, invite bids, start construction, complete, and finally relocate. This new market has not even established a project. The city government just conducted a survey, how could they move so soon? Second, if it is necessary to relocate, will the villagers here agree? The market is made by them, and their opinions are undoubtedly the most important. Will they agree to move their market to someone else's land? It's impossible for Changlong to overwhelm the local snake, even if you think about it. And as long as they disagree, let alone the city, even the province is useless, unless it is the highest level of construction planning and the use of compulsory administrative means. Otherwise there is no possibility of relocation. Third, let's take a step back and say that the villagers here are selfless and wholeheartedly responded to the call of the city government and agreed to relocate. Okay, let's move, but as I said just now, relocation is not a one-off thing. We have to wait for the new market to be built. How long will it take from project approval to completion? I don't think it will be completed in 10 or 8 years. Speaking of this, Yu reading www.ukanshu.com. Chen Yang looked at his little uncle and smiled. Little uncle, how much is the rent at our stall? The little uncle immediately blurted out, 1005, the expensive one will kill you. Chen Yang couldn't help wiping off his cold sweat when he heard it. As expected of my little uncle, your small stall can earn this amount in a day when the business is good, but it's still called expensive here. What should I do if people open a shop outside? Okay, it's only 1500 yuan, Chen Yang said, wringing his fingers. Let's do the math. One stall is divided into 3, and one stall is 1500 yuan, so that's 4500 yuan per month. And 5000 yuan per year. Not counting the rent increase, the stall fee of 150,000 yuan can be paid back in 3 years, and can be quadrupled in 9 years. How many businesses are more profitable than this? Even if you want to use one for yourself, the rent is only 3,000 a month, and that year will be 36,000, and it will take about 4 years to pay back. Are you afraid of losing money? After Chen Yang finished speaking, almost everyone started talking, except for Chen's father. Well, at this time, Father Chen was holding the wine glass in one hand and taking a sip. His expression remained unchanged, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. Probably feeling complacent. After a while, my aunt looked at Chen Yang and said with a smile, "Oh, a college student is a college student, and he can speak clearly 1, 2, 3 at once. Unlike outsiders who can't say anything after talking for several months." Chen Yang laughed, and then asked, "Then, little aunt, little uncle, are you going to buy it?" "Buy it?" The uncle patted him on the shoulder and said viciously, "Gongjun, that is, I don't have any money, otherwise I will definitely do it. This business is sure to make money." Gongjun is the name of the little uncle. I saw him dodge suddenly after hearing what the big uncle said. "I want to buy it too, but I don't have any money, 150,000, who has so much money? Would you like to lend me some more?"